Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight as we begin our 20th anniversary season. Wow. Donald Trump's big gamble. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. By going to Mexico last week, Mr. Trump signaled that he is willing to engage in diplomacy. But as soon as he got back to the USA, he repeated his policy of being tough on illegal aliens. There was some nuance, but not much. And that is Mr. Trump's big gamble. He is hoping that American voters are fed up with a federal government that will not enforce immigration law, thereby allowing chaos to reign and actual harm to come to Americans like Kate Steinle. The Republican ticket apparently believes there are many voters who are silently sick of permissive immigration policies in place for decades. They're sick of it. Remember, if you are outspoken about enforcing immigration laws, the left will brand you a nativist and perhaps even a racist. That's a vicious card to play, and it has inhibited speech to some extent. There's no question that illegal immigration is an explosive issue, one that allowed Donald Trump to win the Republican nomination. Again, it comes down to this. Are most American voters fed up with the anarchy? Tough question to answer because you can't count on the polls to indicate true feelings. As mentioned, many people shy away from openly supporting tough measures against illegal aliens, even though they may support them. For those voters, Trump offers a border wall, a crackdown on sanctuary cities, and zero tolerance for aliens who commit crimes on American soil. That's a powerful lure for disenchanted voters. That being said, there's no question that Donald Trump will not, will not deport millions of aliens who have been peaceful while residing in the USA. He seems to be moderating his position on that. More than a year ago, we discussed the issue. I think you're right about the wall. I think you're wrong about the mass deportations and going into families. I think they have to be held accountable, and I think they have to be registered, and they have to go through the process. But I can't possibly see how the courts, the federal courts, are going to allow federal agents to kick doors in and drag people out. Now, at the time, Donald Trump disagreed with me, so what's changed? Well, we'll talk with him about that in a moment. Although it's not directly linked, the race situation is also a problem for Mr. Trump. The truth is, African Americans will not vote for him in any great numbers, primarily because the Democratic Party retains credibility in the black precincts. Also, Donald Trump is identified as being a birther, someone who has questioned President Obama's American citizenship, and many black Americans did not like that. However, it's very possible that African Americans will not turn out in great numbers at the polls this coming November. Certainly, Secretary Clinton's not as popular as President Obama with black voters. Donald Trump's foray to Detroit was a wise move, even though the usual suspects slammed him.
Your platform as the leader of the Republican Party does not speak to a civil rights agenda. You're talking about civil rights when you are engaged in civil wrongs. To the degree that your party doesn't speak to it, you have never spoken to it, and we don't know who Donald Trump really is.
Now, it's almost amusing that Reverend Anthony excoriates the Republican Party's racial policies when the Democrats have allowed the city of Detroit, his city, to be destroyed right before his own eyes. Politics trumping reality, pardon the pun, once again. Talking Points well understands that Donald Trump will have to overwhelmingly win the white vote to have any chance of being president. And last week's immigration and race storylines might have helped him. New CNN poll out today has Trump leading Hillary Clinton 49-48. If you factor in the other two alternative candidates, Trump wins 45-43. That's a big turnaround for mid-August. And it was driven, according to CNN, by 90% of Republican voters now supporting Trump. 90%. The LA Times daily tracking poll has the race tied, Trump 44, Clinton 44. NBC News has a Clinton 48, Trump 42. In a four-way race, Clinton 41, Trump 37. So again, Trump's making some progress, or so the polls say. But it all comes down to electoral votes. And here Donald Trump has some difficulty. Hillary Clinton is competing in states like Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina. Those states usually vote Republican. Donald Trump needs to win those three, Florida, Ohio, and either Pennsylvania or Michigan, to even be competitive in the Electoral College. That will not be easy. So summing up, Trump's tough stance on immigration looks to be a winner for him at this point. And the race deal is primarily symbolic. Blacks will vote for Mrs. Clinton. But with the debate coming up in less than 3 weeks, Trump still has a fighting chance. And that's the memo. Next on the rundown, we'll talk with Donald Trump. Later, I'll have some thoughts on the Colin Kaepernick national anthem controversy. Factors coming. Right back. Impact segment tonight, let's bring in Donald Trump. Joins us now from Greenville, North Carolina, where he's campaigning. So first of all, let's talk about your campaign. You've said in the past that you expect to beat Hillary Clinton somewhat easily. Do you still feel that way?
I don't know if I said easily, but I hope to win, and I think we'll win. We're doing very well, as you probably know, and I think we're going to have we have a great campaign going. North Carolina now, Virginia before, Ohio yesterday. We had a tremendous crowd in Ohio. It was unbelievable, actually, and I think we're doing very well.
All right, so you're not going to say you're going to beat her easily, because you have said that in the past. But you say you're still going to win, on track to win. Now let's look at the CNN poll, which has you ahead by 1. It's divided along race and gender. For example, you beat Secretary Clinton with men, 54-32. Why do you think you beat her with men?
Well, maybe they like strong borders, maybe they like strong military, but I think women do also. That's why I think I'm going to do very well with women. I noticed that we're doing very well with married women.
All right, well, let's stay on the men now.
With married women.
We'll get to the women in a moment.
I think a lot has to do with the military. A lot has to do with the strength of the borders and not allowing the Syrians to come in, who we just don't know where they're coming from, who they are. There's no documentation. It's a disaster. Hillary wants them to pour into our country, and I don't.
All right, so you think it's a national security play for men to favor you over Mrs. Clinton?
Well, I guess, but I think women want that just as much as men.
Well,
so,
let's get to the. All right, let's get to the.
I think women want it as much as men.
Well, I don't know about that. CNN poll has women 53 Clinton, 38 Trump.
Well, if you're asking me the question, I think we went way up with married women, and we're going very much higher with women than we were 2 months ago. I never really understood that, why we weren't doing well, because it's very much also, it's national security, it's jobs. I think jobs for men and for women. I'm not sure there's such a big difference, to be honest with you, Bill.
But there is in the poll. I mean, I don't know why. I think it most has to do style over substance, maybe. But there is a huge difference. You dominate on men, dominate with men, and she dominates with American women. Let's get to the race. In white Americans, again, you dominate 55-34. You're up 21 with whites. Why?
I can't tell you, Bill. I mean, all I'm doing is talking about jobs and bringing back our jobs. I can't say why
you don't
anybody
have any
necessarily.
opinion on that?
No, I don't really. I really
right.
don't. I mean, I had a tremendous experience in Detroit and in Philadelphia this last week. With African Americans in really inner cities, and we went to a church, an African American church, which was incredible. And I think, I would think that I'm doing very well with the African Americans.
Let's go with the non-white. Now, non-white is all non-Caucasians. Clinton 72, Trump 18.
Well, I think maybe the 18 is a lot higher than it was 3 weeks ago. I think we've made a lot of progress. I mean, I actually saw one where it was 1, which I didn't
that was
understand
just African
at all.
Americans. This is encompassing all non-whites in it. All right, but anyway, look, what I'm trying to get at, and I'm sure you understand
it's highly
this.
underrated, Bill.
Okay.
I think it's highly underrated.
This is a polarized race. It's polarized along gender right now. This could change. I mean, I think the debates will change a lot of things, but it's polarized right now. It's gender, women like her, men like you, whites like you, non-whites like her. And, if you don't have a theory on why, you don't have a theory.
I don't have a theory, but
Okay.
look, I'm about jobs, I'm about defense, I'm about borders, I'm about a lot of things. I'm about our vets, I'm about strong military, whether you break it down into men or women or anybody else. I mean, I think people want to hear that, and I'm much better at it than she is. She'll be very weak on the border. She wants people just to flow. In terms of illegal immigration, people are going to flow into the country, and it's going to be a disaster.
All right,
So,
but apparently non-white Americans
women like
don't
that
mind that. I mean, that's the thing.
Well,
The factor is that some people want open borders. And Bernie Sanders and his crew let everybody in, everybody do what they want. You know what? Open society, George Soros, everybody comes in, you know that crew. Okay, now, Electoral College. See, in my view, and I said this on my website today, it's a tie when you might be ahead in the popular vote a little bit right now, which is pretty interesting comeback from where you were 4 weeks ago. But Electoral College is tough. It's tough. You have very little margin for error. You got to knock off Ohio. You got to knock off Florida. You got to win North Carolina, where some polls you have you behind. You got to win either Michigan or Pennsylvania. That's tough. You don't have any margin for error, where she does have some margin.
Well, when you say you're talking about the Republican Party, because it's always been that way, or it's been that way for the last 20 years. And there's truth to it, but I think we're doing very well in those states. I just left again Ohio. We're doing well. We're leading in Ohio. We're leading in Florida. We're leading in
some
quite a few
polls you
states.
are,
So,
in
I
some
mean, we're
polls
going
you
to
are.
have to
You know
see.
how it is.
Yeah. Well,
But you don't
most
have.
polls
Would you
we are,
see? Would you see tonight? You don't have a lot of margin for error. You got to take the key states that I mentioned. It's going to be tough for you in Virginia, but you don't need Virginia. That's not a have-to-have.
Well, I just left Virginia. I know, but I just left Virginia, and we're just about even in Virginia,
Close.
which some
But
people
you know
were
McAuliffe-
surprised at. I'm not surprised. I think I see the crowds, I see the people, but we're pretty even in Virginia too.
All right. Would you see that you don't have much margin for error in the Electoral College, or no?
Well, when you say you, again, you're talking about the Republican Party.
Donald
This has
Trump.
a tougher-
No. It's you.
I know.
You.
Well, I'm just saying the Republican Party has a tougher road. There's no question about it. I've known that. It's been that way for a long number of years.
Yeah.
But I think we're doing well, and I think we're going to win.
All right. Now, let's get to Detroit. I was going to do this in the second segment. We're going to carry Mr. Trump over, but let's go there now. Were you happy? I thought they were respectful to you when you did have the dialogue with the people in Detroit, but the reaction was, they ran out, they being the media, ran out to find people to smash you, which they did. What was your assessment of that whole situation?
I thought the reaction was amazing, and the church was amazing. The bishop was amazing. I thought the whole thing was really an incredible experience for me, and
what did you learn?
It was a tremendous
What did
success.
you learn by going there?
Well, I don't know, learn, because I knew they were great people to start off with, but just reinforced it. These are people of faith. These are people that are strong believers in God. They were absolutely so warm and so genuine, and I was very, very impressed.
Did you
is
learn
a
anything
pretty rough
about
section of Detroit?
All right. Did you learn anything about why Detroit has collapsed? Why half the population has fled the area? Did you learn why?
Well, I think I know a lot of the reasons why, because our leadership has lost the jobs. I mean, a lot of these companies have moved to Mexico. They've moved out of Michigan generally. That's why I'm doing well in Michigan, because I've been talking about this for 5 years, not just for the last 3 weeks, like, Hillary, who doesn't have any clue as to why they're leaving. And I know how to get them back, and I know how to keep them from leaving. But if you look at Michigan, generally speaking, you look at the big auto plants that are being built in Mexico, and you look at what's happening with respect to Mexico is like the eighth wonder of the world, and Michigan is getting killed.
Yeah, they are.
And I will stop it.
Do you
They're
think,
getting killed.
Last question on this. Do you think your birther position has hurt you among African Americans?
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't even talk about it anymore, Bill,
No, I know.
because I just
But
don't
it's
bother
there, it's
talking
on the
about
record,
it. But I don't know. I guess with maybe some. I don't know why. I really don't know why. But I don't think very few people. You're the first one that's brought that up in a while. I don't think so. I mean, look, I went to Detroit. It was like a love fest. We had just a great time. I was there for a long time. Again, the bishop and his wife and the whole congregation, these are fantastic people.
All right. Let's hold Mr. Trump over, and he's very kind to give us the time. And we're going to talk about immigration, which, as you know in the talking points, I said, has propelled Mr. Trump and made him pretty much even with Hillary Clinton right now. Then later, more damaging Clinton Foundation stuff. Charles Krauthammer will have some thoughts on that moments away. Continuing now, Donald Trump was in Greenville, North Carolina tonight. Okay, in the Talking Points memo, which I know you did not hear because you were on the trail, I said that you are going to build, in my opinion, of course, you are going to build a wall if you're elected. I don't think there's any question you can do that. That you are going to come down hard on sanctuary cities and cut off federal funds. If you're elected, you'll do that. That criminal aliens who are here illegally, who commit crimes in the USA, you will immediately deport them. You're going to have some static in the court system because of due process, but certainly you'll authorize authorities to do that. Am I accurate so far?
And we will pass Kate's Law.
And Kate's Law, very important. And I know you've been behind that from the very beginning. The issue you are apparently modifying is what we talked about, and I told you very rudely, I was rude, that there's no way you're going to be able to deport 12 million law-abiding, peaceful illegal aliens in the system that we have. There's too much due process involved. You're not going to be able to get an immigration force of that kind to drag them out of their homes. So it looks like you're modifying that. Am I correct there?
I never talked about dragging people out of their homes, Bill. I never talked about that. Look, I mean, just so you understand, we're going to have a very strong border. People are going to come into our country, but they're going to come in legally. But we're going to have the wall. We're going to have a very, and by the way, Mexico is going to pay for the wall 100%. We're going to have a wall. Mexico is going to pay for the wall. We're going to have a strong border. The Border Patrol, 16,500 agents endorsed me because they understand. We're going to get rid of, first hour, I'm going to authorize get rid of all of the drug lords and the gang members and all of the people that are here illegally that shouldn't be and committing tremendous crime.
Yeah, but there's due process.
Unbelievable crime.
You can't just do an executive order. You're going to have to go through
very little due process. Okay.
No, but there's some.
Well, I think there's very little. Okay, but I think there's very little. And the police, the local police, know who all of them are, and we're going to get rid of it. So we're going to stabilize our border. We're going to have a strong border. We're going to have a country again. And then what's going to happen is when it's all completed, the wall, all of this is completed, the people that haven't committed a crime, other than, of course, coming into the country illegally, which is, depending on your definition, those people, Bill, we're going to determine when we look at where the country is, how the border is, what's happening with our country, which will be down the road. We're going to make a determination at that time as to what to do with the rest.
That's a modification of your original position, but that's fine.
Well,
I mean,
depending on how you want to view it.
Sure.
I don't know about that, but that's okay. If you want to say that, it's fine.
In my opinion, as a news analyst, you've modified your position a bit. But I'm saying to you that I believe the whole package that you put together in Arizona, all right, has now reignited your campaign, that you now have some momentum behind.
Well, and Hillary, just so you know, Bill, very important, Hillary has no package because she never talks about illegal immigration.
She wouldn't do anything.
She wants everybody to pour into the country.
Right.
She wants the Syrians to pour into the country, 600% almost more than Obama has, and he's got thousands and thousands of people pouring in right now. She has no, if you ask her, she's got absolutely zero to talk about on illegal immigration. Everybody can just pour into our country and take our jobs, and no matter how they are, good, bad, or indifferent, I mean, just pour into our country. That is a disaster for the United States. She doesn't want to talk about it. And she got brought there. Bill, she got brought there by Bernie Sanders, super left. I mean, she got brought there by Bernie Sanders. But people are going to pour into the country under the Hillary non-existing plan. Nobody even knows what her plan is.
Now, Governor Pence says he's going to release his tax returns. Today, Hillary Clinton's whacking you again, and, she does it almost every day, that you should release your tax returns. If Governor Pence does release his, is that going to put pressure on you to release yours?
Not at all. Nobody cares about it except some of the folks in the media. Nobody cares about it. But just so you understand, I'm under audit, a routine audit, and when the audit's complete, I'll release my returns. I don't know when that's going to be, but when the audit is complete, I'll release my returns. I have no problem with it. It doesn't matter.
But the legal
how
people
does she
say
talk
you
about
could
my
do
tax
it
returns? Because in the meantime, Bill, in the meantime, well, no, but nobody would recommend that. In the meantime, she has 33,000 emails that she deleted. When is she going to release her emails? She probably knows how to find it. Let her release her emails, and I'll release my tax returns immediately. Now, with this being said, I released almost 100 pages of financials to the FEC, and they're detailed. There's a lot of information. The fact is, you get very little information from a tax return, Bill.
Okay, but when the audit's complete, then you'll release it. That's what we learned.
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
Hey,
Thank you.
I appreciate you coming on. As I said, we're still working for Mrs. Clinton to come on, Secretary Clinton. What do you think? You think she's going to come up against me?
I have no idea, Bill. Nobody can figure it out. She goes out for a day or two, and then she goes away for 5 days, and nobody hears from her. So I have no idea what she's doing.
Would you watch that interview if Mrs. Clinton came on The Factor? Would you watch it?
I may. I'm not so sure. I might have to turn to another network.
All right, Donald Trump, everybody. Plenty more ahead as The Factor moves along this evening. Charles Krauthammer on more damaging stuff about the Clinton Foundation. That should be interesting. Also, I'll have some thoughts on the Colin Kaepernick national anthem controversy. There's more here than you know. We hope you stay tuned for those reports. Campaign 2016 segment tonight, reaction to the Trump interview. With us now here in New York City, Lisa Booth and Juan Williams. So Trump is doing better. You would say that, Juan, right?
Yeah, I think the poll
CNN poll shows that. I think it's because a lot of people are fed up with the anarchy around immigration. And, you know, he did modify his stance. There's no question about it on the people who haven't committed crimes here. But he's a tough guy on the border wall and all that. You agree with that?
Yeah, to some extent. I mean, what was interesting in watching you with him was you were saying, hey, you modified your plan.
He did.
He pushed back a little bit and said, okay, all right, I'm good. You can say modify. But the interesting thing is while you were gone, this is a guy that it looked like he was going to modify and soften his approach in order to reach out to more voters. Well, no. The reason that he was playing games with you, Bill, was... He
wasn't playing games.
Yeah, he said he didn't want to say that he had softened, and the reason
of course he doesn't want to admit it.
And gave a red meat speech.
He used the term, Lisa, round up the illegal aliens that were here. We're going to round them up. They had to go back to their home country and then reapply. That was the original. Now it's, after we get all the security, we'll take a look. That's a modification, and that's what happened. But his modification has helped him, I believe, has it not?
Well, I think he's doing better in the polls because he's on message. He's talking about jobs and the economy, which is the number one issue.
You don't think it's immigration?
No, I think it's jobs and the economy. I think it's him getting back to being on message, talking about. But look,
with all due respect, wait a minute. He says the same thing every time on jobs and the economy,
which is what voters want to hear. I think the issue
how many times though do they want to hear it?
Well, Bill, I think the issue of immigration is completely overblown. If you look at the issues, if you look at the issues that are important to Americans, it's jobs, it's the economy, it's education. If you look into the issues that's important to Hispanics, it's jobs, it's the economy. Yeah, but that's being overblown, Lisa, by the media. But you look at the most recent.
He goes to Mexico. He meets with the Mexican president. All right, huge story, huge, massive coverage. Then he comes back to Arizona and says they're going to pay for the wall. Mexican president goes, no, we're not. That's huge. That's what's driving these polls. He says, and I'm not putting this down, I'm going to bring back jobs. I'm going to punish the companies that go overseas. Okay. But you just can't say it 1,000 times and surge in the polls. He was saying that when he was going down in the polls, Lisa.
Well, I think him going to Mexico was obviously a positive step for his campaign. It helped him look presidential.
But that was the issue.
Yeah, but if you look at, look, there's even a poll out today that essentially showed that voters are completely split between Clinton's view on immigration and Donald Trump's view on immigration. If you look at
the elections,
even to Hispanic voters, jobs, the economy, education, healthcare are the top issues.
All right.
Comprehensive immigration reform.
I think the two of you are off a little bit because you know what? It is about immigration, but it's about immigration as it relates to white, female, college-educated voters. They're the ones that are not coming over to Trump. The reason he's gone up in the polls, Lisa and Bill, is that, you know what, more Republicans are now coming to Trump.
90% are now.
So before it was about 75.
Why have they come over?
Because I don't think before they were comfortable with Trump. I think a lot of them saw him as bigoted, bellicose, harsh. And I think Trump is now trying, this is where the modification, this is why I appreciate your interview. He's trying to modify, he's trying to soften. But then he comes back and he says, I'm going to play to the base, and he gives the red meat speech.
But by staying on message, what he's allowed for the media to do is to focus on Hillary Clinton, to run the indictment against her on the Clinton Foundation.
Well, that's a different thing.
And the Clinton emails.
He hasn't made any verbal gaffes so that they can't pound him on that.
So he's controlling the narrative.
I'll put forth that the reason that Donald Trump has come up from 78% to 90% in Republican support is immigration. The Republicans are tired of the anarchy. 30 seconds, go.
I would agree with protecting the border and securing the border, making America safe again is a positive message for all voters. But I think this idea that the media is driving about he has to embrace amnesty to resonate with voters and resonate with Hispanic voters is incorrect.
I think it is immigration to a large extent, but as a symbolic issue. I agree with you. It's not the #1 issue when you ask voters to list their priorities. But it's the symbolism. It's Trump being Trump.
It has fueled the
But I'm just telling you, it's not going to help him in terms of reaching new voters and getting over the top.
Listen, he's ahead in the CNN poll.
He's not ahead in the Real Clear Politics average, and he's not ahead.
CNN poll.
I heard from a wise man named O'Reilly, watch the Electoral College every day.
That's what it is all about, no question. All right? And when we come back, the Washington Post reporting that Bill Clinton made millions of dollars and the Clinton Foundation is involved in that to some extent. Krauthammer and I will kick that around. Next, as the factor continues all across the USA, all around the world.
O'Reilly Factor, the #1 cable news show for 16 years and counting.
Thanks for staying with us. I'm Bill O'Reilly in the Factor follow-up segment tonight. Will the Clinton Foundation hurt Secretary Clinton's chances to become president? Latest from the Washington Post says that Bill Clinton received nearly $18 million from a for-profit college called Laureate International Universities. Apparently, the former president was an honorary chancellor. $18 million for that. Here's the problem. The Laureate's senior vice president at the time, Joseph Duffy, got access to Hillary Clinton when she was Secretary of State. Mr. Duffy also donated thousands to the Clinton Foundation. Joining us now from Washington to assess, Charles Krauthammer. First of all, I think you could get that job. Honorary chancellor of whatever university it is for $18 million, Charles. That sounds good, right?
Yeah, but you have no idea how many papers he graded.
He didn't grade
your
it.
Your hand can get really tired writing in the margins.
It's just honorary. And you could still be on Fox News because you'd just be honorary, but you'd get $18 million. I mean, come on. Is this not a scam?
Well, I don't know about if it's a scam. You know, Babe Ruth endorsed a lot of products that I'm not sure he used. This is endorsement. This is the use of your name, the use of your reputation, and cashing it in. Now, it's pretty unsavory when a president is doing it, but that's exactly what's happening here. I think even if his wife were not running for president or Secretary of State, he would have been doing something like this, perhaps for a little less money. But what he's doing is saying, I will endorse your product so that you can grow the business. People will look at it and say, well, the former president is involved. It can't be a scam. And it hasn't been exposed as a scam. This is not like a Trump university.
Well, wait.
This is a real university with real diplomas. But it was hyped up by a guy who probably had nothing to do with it in terms of its actual operations and got paid a huge amount of money.
But there's more involved with that. I mean, the guy, the senior vice president, then gets invited to a State Department dinner. I mean, that adds to the prestige of Laureate, whatever it is. And then the same guy kicks more than $10,000 into the foundation. Come on. Look, I guess we could be cynical and say this is what America is all about these days. Everything's for sale. But that's what it's about. Everything's for sale. You want a state dinner with Hillary Clinton? Hey, hire a husband for $18 million and you got it, right?
Look, I don't approve of this. I've written about this. We seem to have this standard that we have accepted over the decades. You can pay for access, and that's okay. At least it's not illegal. But you can't if you get an actual trinket in return, a favor, a bribe. That's the bright line. One sends you to jail, and the other simply indicts your personality and your ethics. Now, we have lived with that for years. It applies to everybody, not just the Clintons. So I don't think it has a major effect on her. I think it does to some extent because this is the Clinton way. You sell your name, you sell your power, you sell everything. But I think the bigger story here and the real damage it's done, and you can see it in the polls, the reason her numbers have shrunk is because this keeps coming out. There is nothing that escapes the smothering cloud of these stories. I mean, her message can't get out. She makes speeches on a ton of stuff nobody either remembers or even covers it. Every day it's a different story, and it's a different detail. Not that the details in themselves really matter, but it is simply a reminder of their personality, acquisitiveness, the idea that they are not liable to the rules of everybody else. And that's the damage. She can't run a campaign. There's nothing coming out of her campaign other than the drip, drip, drip of these stories every day.
Don't you think many Americans, though, want some dignity in the White House, and that might be hurting both candidates? 30 seconds.
I think you're right. That's why they are the two most unpopular candidates in polling history. And the only reason people will vote for one over the other, with small exceptions, is to keep the other out of the White House. This is a competition, a race to the bottom, and the one who hits it second is the winner.
All right, Charles Gradham, everyone. Waters on deck. He's talking race with the folks in Philadelphia. A special Waters World, moments away. Back in the book segment tonight, Waters World. As you know, one of the biggest issues of the presidential race is race itself. Recently, Waters was in South Philadelphia and got into that.
What is the definition of a racist?
A person that don't like nobody.
A racist is someone who has a stigma against certain types of people. They stereotype them.
Someone who has different feelings towards different colors of skin.
A racist is a person who loves their race. So there's nothing wrong with loving your race. It's when you begin to attack others because you're now putting your race above another.
Where do you see racism in America today?
Everywhere.
Like right now?
Well, not at this exact moment, no.
When I was younger, we didn't say black people, we said colored people.
What's wrong with African Americans?
Spanish, black, Oriental.
You can't say Oriental, that's offensive.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Can black people be racist?
Yes, they can. Trust me, they can be racist against their own selves.
Well, I've had situations where I've been outright called the N-word.
Have you ever been called a racist?
Absolutely.
Over what?
Just being white. You gotta respect people. I'm Italian, you know, I want people to respect me. I don't want to call me a whop or nothing like that.
Do you think Black Lives Matter is a racist term?
Definitely. It's an excuse.
If they were such a caring organization, I don't know why they're not going into their own neighborhoods and cleaning them up.
They do matter, don't get me wrong, but also all lives matter.
Absolutely.
Do you think the term racist is thrown around too much in America?
Yes.
What's that about?
PC?
We don't talk about it enough.
We don't talk about racism enough? That's all we talk about in this country.
Not really.
Do you feel like the term racist is thrown around too loosely these days?
Every time you turn around, there's an incident with a black versus a white or a Hispanic.
You have a whole group of people that heard a man say, I'm going to build a wall and deport millions of Mexicans and Hispanic Americans from this country. Nobody batted an eye.
Are we living in the same country? Because Trump got a lot of heat for that. Do you think Donald Trump is a racist?
Not at all. It's a defense mechanism because you have nothing else against a guy.
I don't believe he's racist, but at times he says racist things.
Do you think Donald Trump is racist?
I do. He just said that black people should vote for him. He blamed the whole...
Whoa. Asking black people to vote for you is racist?
Asking black people to vote for you and trying to scare them into voting for you is racist.
When Democrats scare black Americans into voting for them because they say Republicans are going to put you back in chains, isn't that racist?
I think that is racist.
Do you think it's racist to secure the border?
Yeah.
So you don't believe in borders?
Oh, I believe in borders, but I don't think that we should keep out an entire country because Donald Trump doesn't like them.
Are you legal or illegal?
Illegal.
You're illegal?
Yeah.
Welcome to America.
Thank you.
You can stay.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much.
For now.
He's going to enforce the laws that are on the books, and that's it.
That's not racist.
That's not racist. That's America.
Do you think Hillary Clinton is racist?
I know she's a money grubber.
I think she's a bit elitist, but hey, you gotta flaunt it.
Do you think Hillary is racist?
No, she's just crooked.
She's not referred to me or anybody like me as the blacks, so I'm going to go with no.
She actually called young black men super predators.
Then that would make her too.
Do you know who I am?
No, who are you?
I'm Waters.
Who?
And this is my world.
You're Waters?
Yeah.
You're not Italian?
No.
Oh, you're kidding.
Why, because my nose is crooked?
All right, there's Waters. I didn't get the nose is crooked line, but that's okay.
It's a mob reference.
Most of those people in South Philly, you're in South Philly, which is a racially mixed area, right? And they seem reasonable. I mean, they have their opinions. Some of them not as well informed as others.
That's right. Well, I don't know. I think my piece right there might have contributed to polarization of racism in America.
How?
No one wanted to talk about it. You're afraid to say the blacks. You're supposed to say African Americans.
Did you have people run away from the camera and say, I'm not going to talk about this?
Mostly running away from me. They don't even care about the camera.
They don't see the camera.
No, but you know, I usually soft pedal when I do the interviews. I say, you know, I want to talk about this. But when I come up to someone and I say, I want to talk about racism, no one wants to talk about that.
You know, it's funny because a lot of people don't know that you can't say the term Oriental anymore. It's Asian.
I knew that.
All right. But I'm trying to figure out why. Well, it's the Orient where they originate.
They're supposed to call rugs Oriental, not people.
Oh, it's a rug thing.
It's a rug thing.
See, I didn't know that. I learned something from Waters World. First time ever.
You're welcome.
First time ever. But you're right. I mean, when you deal with minority Americans, absolute minefield now.
Yeah.
You know, you say something wrong. Oh,
yep.
There you go.
Gotta tread carefully.
Gotcha. All right, Jesse Waters, everybody. You'll be back on Thursday. In fact, a tip of the day, I will deal with this Colin Kaepernick deal with the national anthem. That after these messages. In fact, the tip of the day, the San Francisco 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick and the national anthem in a moment. But first, 1 week from today, Killing the Rising Sun, it's the marketplace. We have posted an excerpt from the book on BillO'Reilly.com. It's free. Anybody can read it. We'll also have an audio clip. Killing the Rising Sun, 6th book in the Killing series, which has become the most successful history series in history. Close to 13 million copies in print for all editions. If you pre-order Killing the Rising Sun on BillO'Reilly.com, you get it first. If you become a BillO'Reilly.com premium member or re-up, you get it free, along with a free copy of the Constitution. Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, also taking pre-orders. We hope you enjoy Killing the Rising Sun. I think you will. No mail tonight. We will resume tomorrow. So finally, here is the fact or tip of the day. Respect is important. San Francisco 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick, as you know, refusing to stand for the national anthem because he believes America is biased against black people and the police in general are ill-trained.
You have people that practice law and are lawyers and go to school for 8 years, but you can become a cop in 6 months and don't have to have the same amount of training as a cosmetologist. That's insane.
Well, Mr. Kaepernick is incorrect. Law school lasts for 3 years. Maybe he's adding the 4 years of college before that, but it still doesn't add up. A minor point, just a nitpick. But here's the more serious situation. I believe the quarterback is ill-informed across the board. Studies and statistics show American police are not targeting African Americans. And while there are exceptions to that, of course, American law enforcement in general deserves respect. They protect us. As you may know, Colin Kaepernick wore socks portraying police officers with pig faces. Obviously disrespectful. So it comes at somewhat of a surprise that the president is restrained when it comes to Kaepernick.
When it comes to the flag and the national anthem and the meaning that holds for our men and women in uniform and those who fought for us, that is a tough thing for them to get past, then hear what his deeper concerns are. But I don't doubt his sincerity based on what I've heard.
I'm a bit confused. Sincerity should be based on behavior and knowledge, right? Mr. Kaepernick's behavior regarding the police is disgraceful. The socks prove that. And believe me, if Colin Kaepernick were on this program, The Factor, right now, he'd be sacked within seconds because his knowledge of current events is sadly lacking based upon what he has said so far. Yes, the quarterback has the constitutional right to express his opinion, but other Americans also have the constitutional right to reject it based on facts. Respect and knowledge always trump emotion and propaganda. Or am I wrong? And that is it for us tonight. Please check out the Fox News Factor website, different from BillO'Reilly.com. Also, like you to spout off about the Factor from anywhere in the world, O'Reilly at FoxNews.com, O'Reilly at FoxNews.com. In Midtown, if you wish to opine, word of the day, do not be a Zoilist. I love that when writing to the Factor. Don't be a Zoilist. Again, thanks for watching us tonight. I'm Bill O'Reilly. Please always remember that the spin stops here. So we're definitely looking out for you.